You know, sometimes when I'm down, David Myatt tweets at me.
Oh, yeah?
You mean not David Myatt.
Oh.
It's definitely not David Myatt.
When I'm down, oh, Thormund, you got my number.
Is it Thormund? How's that pronounced?
Thormind, I guess.
Probably
But,
Thormund.
Yeah, he's got a new one. It looks like Woden. Woden and Thormund.
Woden and Thormund.
Woden.
Woden and Thormund.
Woden.
Hey, Woden. Hey, Woden, come down here. Come tweet about the Order of Nine Angles.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is super funny, too, because, he started tweeting at us, of course, like right after we unlocked this older ep we did about him, trolling David Icke and passing over the 098 to fucking feds. Shit, Sutter and Temple of Blood and all that, and he got he got a little excited. But there was a tweet before it, and it said something like, "It's been 5 hours, and you haven't summoned like the Dark One yet. Something might be wrong." But it struck a chord because I was wondering if he had died in the meantime.
It's true.
There were rumors that he's dying.
There were rumors that David Myatt.
But he probably started in them himself.
Yeah, he's not dead. I think if David Myatt actually died, more people would know.
Yeah, but how many people would really care at this point?
I mean, I wonder how many people would know. Like, most of his friends are his own fake accounts on the internet.
Yeah,
it's true.
So,
he does have a lot of special imaginary friends.
And all his like old real friends fucking hate him now, and vice versa. Yeah. So yeah, maybe he'll just die alone.
I guess old Dickie Malt would know. I guess.
Yeah,
I suppose he'd feel it. He'd feel it. He'd be out there with his goats.
Dickie Malt to Satan.
Suddenly, he'd fall silent. One tear would drip from his eye to his cheek, and he would know.
He would immediately see it in his tarot reading, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That he lost his best friend.
His only friend.
Yeah.
Dave.
Somebody else. He's one of those people.
Welcome to The Empire Never Ended with Boris, Fritz, and Ray.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
Hey.
Hello. I'm Boris.
I'm Fritz.
I'm Ray.
And we're back in some old territory, and we haven't even gotten to the next arc yet, but boys, I feel at home today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not the one who prepared this, but now
no one did.
Me a little rundown.
Well, someone did actually.
Before this,
none of us.
I felt very comfortable with the material. It's just this bread and butter.
I mean,
yeah.
We were preparing this for last 2 years, in a sense. So
yeah, it's almost like it's become a major part of our lives.
Yeah.
A major part of our lives that we've been preparing for many years.
Oh, thank you, James. It sounds so much better when you say it.
Who's here? It's me, Jim. Are there any children?
All right, Jim. Okay, we'll get to you. We'll get to you soon. Yeah, we've been kind of out of it for a little while. We haven't, we've been focusing on finishing up that Balkan arc and what we're going to do in this Inter arc. And so, we checked in with some old friends, asked them if there's any news. And we got very detailed responses of all the stuff that we'd missed, actually, in the last couple of months. Shit has not gotten better.
No. It was just shattered like a pane of glass.
for the 09A, for the NS09A, for James Mason, for the fucking, National Socialist Resistance Front. None of that is working out.
No.
You don't say.
Yeah. We kind of covered the beginning of the end back in episode 154 with an episode we called Dear James. But the satanic panic there is continuing.
Wait,
Yeah.
is that the last time we've talked about James Mason and 09A? Really, we haven't had much of many
maybe
09A updates.
not really. We talked about Brandon a little,
That's true.
Atomwaffen,
Yeah.
Brandon Russell and his arrest, but not really. Our minds have been on other things.
Yeah. In addition to all of these conflicts going on between various factions of what Atomwaffen used to be, there was also another very interesting revelation, and that's like a very, very interesting photograph appeared on the internet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that
it's like the Where's Waldo of Nazis.
I mean, of our podcast, actually. I mean, it's pretty amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing that's missing is like James Jesus Angleton's face somewhere in the corner, like on a portrait, and maybe like Nicola Cavalla or something.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
his resurrected, or his child or something.
So this is a photograph that appeared on one of like a Twitter account affiliated with, I guess, Temple of Blood or, something close to it. I think this is the guy that I guess was Commander Cultus or whatever his name was.
Back in the Satanic Front episode, we talked a lot about how Commandant Cultus, I believe.
Commandant Cultus,
Cultus.
Yeah.
Was a dude trying to run a t-shirt operation and was essentially tasked by Sutter to take over his TOB shit as Sutter was being exposed as a Fed. And that led into the Satanic Front through some lightsaber-wielding Dark Lords. Yeah. And that's how we got here.
And he was also doxxed, I guess, by other Nazis. I don't know. I don't remember who doxxed him.
Yeah. He was doxxed by Dark Gnosis. Yeah,
he's a son of a well-known jazz musician from New York, I think. Was the story.
Awesome.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, that account published a very, very interesting photograph. And so I guess we'll be publishing that on our Patreon or somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are going to love it. Look at it right now.
I also saw it. I saw it a few times going around on Telegram as well. So it's been making the rounds for a little bit now, for a couple weeks, I think.
So this is a photograph of an event in something that looks like a social club or some kind of venue of that sort. I mean, obviously, MMA is a part of this. There is a fighting ring in the middle of this pretty big room. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, there's like a couple of dozen people in the photograph. It looks like maybe it's like some kind of presentation or discussion or like a film projection or something like this. And most of the it's a photograph of the audience who are looking at I guess the stage. And these are some interesting characters. Yeah, very interesting. And we actually managed to identify the venue. And through that, roughly the time when the photograph was made. So there is like a very characteristic emblem on the walls and the tables in this venue that looks like the Ukrainian national crest, but it consists out of like two guns.
It's like made of rifles. It's a trident of rifles.
Yes. So the venue is Club Reconquista, which was in Kiev. It doesn't exist anymore. It was opened in 2017 and closed in 2019. And this Club Reconquista was basically the club and a restaurant of the Azov movement.
Right.
So a neo-Nazi club in Kiev that also organized MMA fights and stuff like that. So it's a bunch of like kind of modern Nazi types there, like mostly young people, but kind of looking like modern kind of alt-right Nazi hipsters. But then there's like a few interesting characters there.
Yes.
Yeah, you can really spot some of the Europeans like from the Americans, right? Like some of the like built like Fash Ukrainian guys with like tight haircuts and that kind of stuff. And then
fucking John Cameron Denton. Is that him in the front right there with a stupid haircut? I think it's him.
It might be.
With the neck beard? I think it is. Look at his stupid face. Right. Well, okay, covering the main event, the guy that our boy is hiding behind.
No.
No.
I think you don't think so?
No, that's a Ukrainian guy for sure. or Russian.
Look at his face.
No, okay. So, first of all, you notice a very, it's unmistakable who it is. It's Joshua
Yes.
Sutter.
Yeah. That's what I was
totally.
saying. He stands out completely because he's a good just a couple dozen kilos heavier than the rest of them with a giant sloppy ass beard.
Yeah, he looks like he should have a jug that says XXX on it and like a fiddle.
He looks kind of
maybe.
like a dork there, sitting like that, and he's looking very different from anywhere else on the photograph. So Joshua Sutter of Temple of Blood is attending this event. And then in the back, we see some other kind of familiar characters. And this is basically, the Atomwaffen division is present there in their uniforms and skull masks.
Yes.
Yeah. Three guys with skull masks and like camo uniforms.
So I think that John Cameron Denton is one of the masked people.
I still think he's this guy.
No way.
I've seen his face so many times. It looks so much like this dude.
No. Not at all. The one
Look
on
at his dead eyes.
The one on the right?
Yeah.
No, that's for sure a local guy. For sure.
All right.
I heard there's a debate coming up here.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where I stand on it. I'm more on that it's a local guy.
I mean,
look at his little expression, his little pouty face. Oh.
Yeah, but it could also be like a Ukrainian like black metal guy.
That's
like black metal Nazi. Like
like, that's true. Of course.
He also
the next
sitting like
album
a woman,
Jews.
and maybe they're even holding hands. Atomwaffen people don't have close female friends.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he got lucky on his trip to Ukraine. You know? Anyway.
Those guys always think they're going to get lucky on their trips to Ukraine, and then they never do.
Well, I think what's more important, sure, yes, but I think what's more important is who's behind this guy that I still think is JCD, and that is a little cap poking out.
Yeah, this is like quite extraordinary. It looks like when I saw this, I was thinking like this is fake for sure because it's like you cannot see who the person is because they're obviously hiding from the camera.
Yes.
But if you know anything about this person, you are like 100% sure this is him.
Instant recognition. Just by the clothes. Just by that. And the little bushy bits of beard you can still see. And that fucking cap that he has in like his bicycle pictures,
Yes.
Corduroy pants, dress shoes. Drum roll, please. I think that's David Myatt.
Yes. Yeah, that seems to be the consensus.
So it's David Myatt sitting on a couch, hiding from the camera. You cannot see his face, but I mean, he's like Joshua Sutter, but different from him. He looks very different from anyone else, even in a more radical way than Joshua Sutter. He looks like David Myatt. Like, not a lot of people look like that.
I'll admit, I was skeptical at first because you really can't see anything. You really can't make out, details of like the face or anything. The more I looked at it, though. The cap and the parts of the beard, that cap is really unmistakable. I mean, I guess he's had the same goddamn thing since like, the 80s or whatever.
I think we have a picture we saw from the early or mid 2000s maybe with this cap on.
Yeah. And and he was the Temple of Blood affiliated account on Twitter that published this photograph identified that person as David Myatt.
As mine.
Right. Well, that's the other thing. Yeah.
Yes.
But that's, whether you believe anything that people TOB related. I mean, you should always treat anything that O9A or TOB people say with,
of course,
salt.
Yes. I mean, of course, there is a chance that we are wrong and this is not David Myatt, but it certainly looks like him.
It certainly seems like it, yeah.
And this is a meeting, where Joshua Sutter is present and also obviously the members of Atomwaffen. So it makes sense that this is him. And so there are other things that we can, assume about this because this is in Kiev. It also, the person who published this said that this was a winter meeting. And this was like basically all the information that was included there. So we know that in the winter, in December to be more precise, people close to Azov and this movement are organizing a metal festival in Kiev, which is like a neo-Nazi metal festival. And we know that Joshua Sutter and members of Atomwaffen attended this festival. So there was information that this was in 2017, I think. And in some, so there were also other Nazis who don't like this group of people and who were trying to be more kind of respectable, writing and researching these groups and talking to some, I think, ex-Atomwaffen members. In one of these texts written by these other Nazis, they cited an ex-Atomwaffen member who they interviewed, who said how they first met Joshua Sutter in Kiev in 2017 at this, or rather in 2018 at this metal festival there.
Right.
So this makes sense. As I said, this club where the photographs was made was founded in 2017 and closed in 2019. So it could be 2018 when the photograph was made.
Yeah.
So in that article also cites their source from Atomwaffen, the ex-Atomwaffen member, who says that during that meeting, Joshua Sutter was introduced to Atomwaffen as the leader of the Order 9 Angles in the US. Which is also interesting because from the looks of it, David Myatt, the leader of the Order of 9 Angles, seems was present at this meeting. So it would make sense that Joshua Sutter was introduced in such a way, especially if David Myatt was there himself.
Mm-hmm.
And there is also maybe some confusion. Was it 2018? Because there are some photographs on the internet from this metal festival with Molot playing.
The
Russian.
The festival, I believe, is organized by Molot and that
Yes.
freak that whose name I can't remember now from the Russian Volunteer Corps.
But in the photographs, so there are photographs of a Molot gig at this festival with an Atomwaffen flag in the audience. But the thing is that this photograph is identified in the sites where it was published that it is from 2017. Now the trouble with the festival is that Molot plays every year, so you cannot really judge it by that. So there is maybe some possibility that either members of Atomwaffen were twice attending the festival in 2017 and 2018. Or this meeting, in fact, happened in 2017 or not 2018, or maybe it was just some, other people who were not necessarily members of Atomwaffen having their flags there. So, but yeah, it's pretty much certain that this photograph was, and the meeting was either 2017 or 2018. Yeah. Now, I doubt that, everyone in Atomwaffen was introduced to Joshua Sutter for the first time in 2017 or 2018. I think that John Cameron Denton, known as Rape, probably knew him much longer than that. I think we covered this in some of the episodes.
Right.
Because I think that already when Atomwaffen was founded in 2015, Denton was already affiliated with the Order of 9 Angles and probably had an earlier connection with Joshua Sutter. Maybe this was the occasion when most of the members of Atomwaffen met Joshua Sutter in person for the first time.
Yeah. No, because I always imagine that there was a lot of online communication and very little, face-to-face between them, probably until this. Yeah, I mean, this also connects a lot of other stuff too, though. Like if you look at, Molot and the Russian Volunteer Corps, which of course is connected, Denis Nikitin, the leader of the Russian Volunteer Corps, is connected to Molot, Azov, and the Rise Above movement in the US, right? Rob Rundo trained at the Reconquista Club when he was doing those MMA fights with Azov guys. Reconquista, by the way, is also the name of an album by Molot.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
And there are photographs of Rob Rundo in this same club where we now see.
So I mean that's pretty much like all of the strains of American Nazis have been under that roof at some point, from Atomwaffen to White Power 3.0 or whatever.
A hallowed hall indeed.
Yes.
This was also, just to remind everybody, the time when John, what's her fucking name? Oh my God, J.C. Sutter was reporting to Bill Moser.
FBI agent. Yeah.
FBI agent Bill Moser. This is after the 2017 trial with William White. who opened up these first documents for everybody to see that showed the link between Josh Sutter and the FBI. And then during the Cole trial, which was about to happen around the time of this picture, I guess, if it hadn't already at that point, that's when it all came out. And we had the Winston article in the Rolling Stone about exactly how much money Sutter did make. But so at this time in this picture, he's working, full time for the feds and involved in court cases that are active against these people that are standing behind him.
Yeah,
which is pretty remarkable.
And it's probably being introduced to them partially by David Myatt, who was present there. And
who was present there, yeah.
If it's true that, it's interesting that they said, that Joshua Sutter was kind of introduced to them as the leader of the 09A in the US, but who could introduce him as the leader of the Order 9 Angles in the US, maybe he did introduce himself as such, but, it totally makes sense that David Myatt would be the one who said something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, that's really, really the who's who. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Everybody's fucking been there.
Yes.
This is David Myatt, Sutter, Atomwaffen, Rise Above.
And it's also kind of funny how obvious is who the people who are hiding from the camera, are. Like Atomwaffen in the back with masks,
Yes.
that totally look like Atomwaffen. And then this guy on the couch hiding from the camera as well looks totally like David Myatt.
Exactly like David Myatt as only he can. Oh, it's lovely.
Yes, the only British troll at the place of
And then of course Joshua Sutter not even trying to hide, because why would he hide?
Why would he? Yeah, he's got nothing to hide.
He's paid to be there.
In fact, he probably wanted to have the prominent seat so that when his handler's like, "Have you been doing good work?" He's like, "Yeah, look at me with every Nazi ever in Ukraine."
Yeah.
It's also kind of a bittersweet picture because it's the last time, these guys are all going to be friends in the same room.
Yeah.
One brick will fall after another.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to Myatt or Tormin saying how we have no proof that this is in fact him in the photograph.
Yes.
Which is
even more proof to me that it's him.
Yes.
Yes.
The vehement denials would be like, there's absolutely no possible way, probative evidence that this is David Myatt. And then you just be like, yes, that's even more so.
Yes.
An indication that it's really you.
Well, this is what he wrote to us just the other day. More baseless accusations about 09A and David Myatt, and more frat boy humor from anonymous propagandists whose sources are agents of the deep state, like the anonymous Chloe and the FBI informant Sutter. It's funny they pretend to research the deep state while using deep state information. Nailed us to the wall. Damn.
Oh, no, I don't know how we'll recover from that one.
Buddy.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
But then a totally new guy, not at all David Myatt in any way, just adds, quoting us, passing the reins to the Temple of Blood. What a fascinating fiction you live within. It's like his little hat peeking out, He tries to hide.
Oh, God.
He just can't not be him. What a dweeb.
Within.
Yes. I love that guy. So he
is definitely like the eccentric old guy in this mix, though. Everybody else is like relatively young.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how that meeting went? Like,
yes,
probably pretty funny.
You mean between like Votang Jungen guys, like worshipfully be?
I mean, it's like Azov, Atomwaffen, Temple of Blood, and David Myatt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mason's really the only guy that's missing here, really.
Well, thank you for saying that, because, there has been some Mason news. Actually, those poor boys in the back of the picture there, well, their troubles just won't stop. I mean,
no.
First they, did a murder on themselves, then they get arrested for some crazy plan to attack a power plant in Florida, and then they get scared that they're going to be declared a terrorist organization by the U.S., which doesn't happen. And then what else happened to them? Well, then fucking they form. There's a whole bunch of groups that form. The NSO, the National Socialist Order, forms some breakaway. The American Futurist kind of picks up that torch. Everybody's trying to carry the Atomwaffen torch forward, and the American Futurist then splits up into the National Socialist fucking Resistance Front, and then because there was
American Futurist was the website of the National Socialist Order, which split into two groups.
Because they found out again that there was a bunch of Satanists and pedophiles in their ranks, and so they a bunch of them went off to make the National Socialist Order of Nine Angles with Director Wolf, and they had claimed that they were bringing with them the blessing of James Mason to put siege now through their outlets. And finally, this happened. And siege did come out through the NSO-9A. And James Mason was not as happy as the NSO-9A sort of implied that he was about it. In fact, he denounced his own book.
Yes.
Wait, what? He denounced
James
Siege?
Mason denounced this edition of Siege. He calls it the Federal Edition.
Yes.
This is the Federal Edition of Siege, one that I do not recognize.
So apparently, James Mason now has a new kind of group of people helping him, because he again has some presence on the internet, and we know that he doesn't know how to use a computer, so someone is helping him. And there is a website again called Siege Culture, which was originally Rape's website.
Yeah.
Right. So there was Atomwaffen, and some members of Atomwaffen were also members of the Temple of Blood. Then they said we don't exist anymore. James Mason actually said that they don't exist anymore because there was a danger of them being proclaimed officially a terrorist organization. Then they reformed as the National Socialist Order and try to distance themselves from Satanism. But as Fritz just said, I think twice they were surprised that there are still Satanists in their group. So
in
they
all
split
12 of them.
Yes. So they split into these two groups, one called the National Socialist Resistance Front, which claimed it's not Satanist, and then the other one, National Socialist Order of Nine Angles, which obviously claimed, took the Satanist thing with them and claimed they were affiliated with James Mason. But now James Mason says, no, both of these groups are idiots, and he has his own project called Siege Culture, originally founded by Rape, who was a member of the Order of Nine Angles and the Temple of Blood.
Jeez Louise.
Yes. And also, in the meantime, it was, we learned officially that Joshua Sutter, a former leader of the Atomwaffen and of Temple of Blood, is in fact an informant for the FBI since 2003. So some freaks who are okay with that also formed one other group, which is called the Satanic Front.
Satanic Front. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So also that exists.
Yeah. But Satanic Front hates Order of Nine Angles.
Everybody does now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even the fucking O9A hates the O9A. Like the Fenrir guys fucking hate it, apparently. Everybody's...
And the National Socialist Order of Nine Angles denounced Satanic Front and Joshua Sutter as a Fed, but then they published photographs of themselves wearing Iron Gates t-shirts.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, because Iron Gates was too good to lose, Too
good. The NSO-9A, they are also interesting because they have tried to include people like Metzger and Pierce into some sort of ionic sort of what do you call it? What do you call a bunch of deities together? They're called a pantheon. Some sort of new aeonic pantheon of Satanists. They called Metzger a Drekian from the Drekian way, stuff like that.
Well, they claim Ben Klassen as well, no?
And Ben Klassen, yes, but because they are creator bros that have somehow gone through this Atomwaffen filter into the O9A and now have been doing this.
That's just the worst combination of things.
It's all, they are. I think if you remember their program to develop sustainable communities of true evil.
Yes.
And they will
I
also
mean,
announce,
I prefer O9A to like Ben Klass and shit.
Yes.
and this is
like
both.
Ben Klass and shit. Yeah,
both.
exactly. So putting them together is just the worst of the
And
worst.
they were also denounced as pedophiles by the other.
Yes.
Other faction. The other faction thinks it's okay if you have a teenage girlfriend, but they say these guys they're actually the real pedophiles.
Well, there's also an interesting thing about that too, is now that James Mason has clarified that he's not part of the NSO9A and has opened new siege culture. I think my hypothesis is that the guy he took with him, the guy who's now going, I guess, by Mortis, what is it called? Mortis Nutter? Something like this. Mortis Nutria? Whatever it is. I wonder if that's Wolfric. The dude that was outed as a pedophile working for the Denver airport in the baggage handling thing.
Right.
Because they said that he went with James. So I wonder if that's who this is.
Wasn't he the commander, like Wolf?
No. I think that was a coincidence. We were just fooling around with that idea. But Commander Wolf, I think, is somebody else. Or, because listen, it gets even weirder still, because when you go to the fucking Siege Culture website, they're calling themselves nihil Nazis, which is what the NSO9A was doing. The guys that they're supposedly breaking away from as well. So I don't know. My thinking is that he took Wolfric the Denver pedo and they went off to do Siege Culture. But I think Wolfric the Denver pedo was tight with the guys that went off to do the NSO9A, and they were already considering themselves nihil Nazis before this new split happened.
Yeah,
that's what I think. But you know what? Why am I thinking about it at all? Because that's these crazy person thoughts.
And also, like, I think we come to a few points here. No one cares about any of this, and all
join
of
our
these
Patreon.
Except you do, dear listener, because apparently a lot of people
guys.
like hearing about this.
You're not crazy for
madness.
listening to it. You're smart. You know where to put your $5.
I think it's a safe bet.
I mean,
to
you
say
have a
that,
good barroom conversation. That's what it is.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
sure.
did you know that NSO9A is split into two other pedophile factions?
Yeah, we need our own dating app for people that care about this.
So I think it's safe to say that all of these people are Nazi Satanist pedophiles.
Tender.
I think all of them, including James Mason. And probably most of them are feds, I think. It's
Sure.
like-
Yeah.
yes.
Except for James Mason. I really believe he's
He's
never
not.
done
Yes.
He's,
Yeah.
he's the real
Probably.
deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have a video for later,
Yeah.
but yeah, please continue.
I think all of this denouncing, actually what it is about is them not wanting to go to prison and trying
Sure.
to distance themselves from the other group that they think is probably going to prison.
Yes.
So I
To
think
be
this
the
is
most
what-
evil, but not get in trouble. Common
Yes.
theme.
And so there is a new video of James Mason talking about all of these things and denouncing all of these groups, and and it's kind of interesting, and also denouncing his own book, in which he was denounced, he says, by the publisher, which was the National Socialist Order of Nine Angles. So everyone is denouncing everyone, but he also
Including themselves.
He also talks about how what's the name? I cannot for the life of me remember all of these Angloid names ever, although we mentioned them many, many times.
Yeah. String just 3 white dude names together and you'll probably get it by accident.
Yes, the guy who was arrested for wanting to do a sabotage in Baltimore.
Yeah, Brandon
Chris
Russell.
Jonathan Michael.
Brandon Clint Russell, was that it? Yeah, something like this. Yes, John.
Yes, so the third. Yeah. So
Right.
So James Mason actually says how he was in contact with him after he was left the prison before he was arrested again for this terrorism attempt, and how James Mason just cannot figure out why would this guy do something like this kind of sabotage. Like he while holding the book Siege that he
in
wrote
his hand,
in his hand.
Yes.
He can just not understand why would these people do something stupid like this.
Well, he says in Siege,
Yeah.
you know, he tells this Siege. The whole Siege is about destroying the system or system dropout at worst, system destruction at best, killing, murder, serial killers, and all that. But he's very careful to say that if you get in trouble for it, you're dumb. That it's your fault for being an idiot, and I never told you to get caught for anything. That's always his thing.
How does that work out with Charles Manson, though, who's his like idol?
Well, Charles was oh fuck, I can't.
Was one of the best leaders of the movement since Adolf Hitler.
That's right.
But
yeah,
spent most of his life in prison.
Knitting fucking blobs out of yarn.
Isn't that kind of one of those like kind of Trump, like I like the guys who don't go to prison thing?
There you go.
Isn't that what he's essentially trying to say?
That's pretty much
Right?
it. Yes.
And then his idol's the guy
Yes.
who's like lived a grand total of 10 years outside on the outside his whole life.
I like the guys who don't go to jail.
The whole point of Siege and James Mason was that you need to do these acts of violence.
Right.
Unlike the rest of the movement, who's not doing anything, you
Right.
need to do it. And that's
Yes.
Siege is not a smart book. It just tells you be a terrorist. That's the
Yes.
whole point of the book.
Yes.
So, like, if that's not the message of Siege, what is the message of Siege? Like,
Well, I actually might have an answer from Mortis Norte. That was the name I was trying to come up with. So
it's dumber. It's dumber than what you had come up with before. The real one is worse than the one that we just came up with on the fly.
Yeah, hard to do worse than these guys. So, Mortis wrote this, anti-movementarian piece kind of parroting Rape's old pieces during his Atomwaffen days about the movement. Mortis calls it a degenerate shit pit, which I think is a pretty apt term for his movement.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
says some other things like that we might actually agree with, which doesn't happen that often on our show with these people. One of those things is these. Well, okay, I would have rephrased it a bit, but the sentiment I think we can understand. I would have done a few things differently in the construction of this, but you'll get the sentiment. These groups are just right-wing SJWs getting easily offended when someone disagrees with their worldview and hurling pathetic low-level insults. I mean, we found that. I mean, we've called them like the worst liberals before. You know what I mean? Like, it's always their rights. To not be
you remember when speaking of Ben Klassen when that other former World Trade Center creator guy was yelling at us on the internet before he got banned from everything for being bigoted.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the same thing as what the NA guys always. It's absolute bigotry.
Yes.
Quit whining. You're supposed to be the most evil people. Come on.
He talks a lot about how what Andrew Tate's like a bad influence because he's all about materialism, and he writes, "This does nothing to help the movement. If anything, it would make us look like a bunch of bourgeoisie elites, which is something we do not need. Ironic, since a lot of these right-wing personalities like Spencer come from rich upper-class backgrounds. It's funny that he notices that about, like fascism in America, but hasn't really made the full leap to seeing it as a feature instead of a bug here. But all right, so what do you do, right? What is the lesson of Siege here? He says this: if you were to ask me, well then, what can we do? My response would be the same advice I gave in my previous essay. Do nothing. Doing any form of National Socialist activism these days is a big risk, as even small things such as putting up posters or doing graffiti can get you done for, quote, hate crimes. So it is best to avoid activism if you don't want to risk being put in jail. So my advice? Don't join any groups, and don't post anything, no matter what, as all it will get you at the most is one-way tickets straight to jail. And then after making a big deal out of not having your name or having logos or whatever at the bottom of every essay, the author has their own special name and logo for their paper, but whatever. But do nothing is what Siege now says.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. that's great. Please do nothing.
So don't join these groups. Don't do anything. Yeah. And it's different. You maybe you want to be generous and say they were being a little tongue in cheek, but when like they're whatever ex best friends now in the NSO9A, when they do that shtick, it's clearly a shtick. Like,
so they're black-pilled on being black-pilled?
I think maybe, yeah. They black-pilled the black pill, yeah.
So is that what being a Nile Nazi means? Is that
there it is.
So
I think you got it.
You've negated the Nazi part.
Yes.
To just not care. Basically, you just want to be an edgelord.
I think, but maybe even that is a little too much because he was like, "Don't post anything,"
Yeah, but you could still wear like You could still wear a Rahowa shirt to the bar to trigger people or something.
Yeah, I think stuff like that is probably okay.
And then cry when you get beat up. And be
I was going to say, or
bullets.
apologize profusely and ask them not to call the police.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's what that's Siege now. Yes, that's this is the website Siege Culture. This is the official James Mason fucking website.
And you're sure that's not just like
Like wink, wink, nudge,
asses.
nudge.
Yeah.
That's what it just reads
Like
so much
this
differently
pipe
than when the
is for tobacco purposes only.
Yeah. I don't think so because he doubles down on it. You know what I mean? And he ends
James
the essay
Mason
with
says it
this
himself
call.
in the video. He says, never do anything illegal.
Yes.
There's no reason for doing it.
Siege. Yes.
I can't tell though, like if that just drives these kind of people even more towards like just mass shooting type things.
Well, I mean, the NSO9As over there being like, read Siege and do those things. Don't wink. Like, and then they have a little thing that says like, we're joking, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But it's obvious, right? This is very different.
Did you prepare the video?
And the video is prepared.
Your Mason is more confident. Mine is, I feel like, more of a Jimmy Stewart kind of thing.
He does have a bit of a Jimmy Stewart, but it's more
more insane.
More insane. If Jimmy Stewart was a Nazi who molested.
Well, all right, here we go. So this is we're gonna I'll cut out any of the parts that are boring, but we're gonna listen to this together with our listeners.
Hooray!
I figured you guys would like to hear the man himself, so we're gonna.
This was an urgent release.
Yes, it was an urgent release. It's called Satanic Expose.
Ooh,
yeah, buddy.
Sounds
from
exciting.
Siege Culture. So,
oh man, there's a lot going on in this image.
And the sound too. The sound's really funny. There's like a cuckoo every once in a while.
Yeah, because it's like a Swiss cuckoo clock in the background. He has some nice looking cross there, which is prominently featured in the frame. Some shells, a grenade. Good CD rack.
Yeah, a big CD collection. Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of that's probably just Resistance Records.
Yeah. I've got every album of Prussian Blue before they stopped being children and I became disinterested.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, God.
Oh, like you don't miss them a little bit. Come on, it's been so long.
It has been.
Okay, let's play this shit.
Oh, there's Jimothy.
Holding up the book.
Oh, yeah.
Of all the many editions of Siege that have been out over the last 20 years plus, official, pirated, high quality, low quality, I've never denounced any of them. In fact, I've always welcomed them because it was my thought in the beginning just to get the truth out.
It was important to spread the message, never do anything illegal.
Yes.
But today I have one here that I must denounce. And it's this one.
It's the coolest edition ever made by the looks of it.
We here call it the Federal Edition.
Federal edition. There you go.
Because of its high quality.
You can hear his 15 clocks ticking.
Coated stuff.
Yes.
Color throughout.
Jealous.
Wow, this
Most
is a very
impressive.
nice looking edition.
Although that is an expensive looking fucking
Nice.
book. I mean,
Yes.
he's got a point.
Well, not only that, I initially heard this was a $100 volume, and I can believe it. But I'm told now they're giving it away.
Huh?
Most odd. Who has that kind of money? That's why we call it the Federal Edition. The feds do good work.
We know they like making these books.
Anyway, the odd thing about this is not only am I denounced in it, and it's my book, but George Lincoln Rockwell is denounced.
Oh, shit.
Charles Manson is denounced.
Oh, shit.
And Anton LaVey is denounced.
No!
These people refer to themselves as O9A, I believe. Order of the Nine Angles. something satanic.
Probably satanic.
Like you don't know.
Yeah, of course.
One of these people writing his own foreword said something about, and I remember the conversation on the telephone before this came out, what did I think about a new issue or a new edition of Siege? And I said, well, God, there have been so many, so why not? Well, because, and after all, how could I stop it anyway, right? Anyway, so he took that and put it in here as my blessing.
That's Commander Wolf, or whatever he's talking about.
And now that I've seen it, and, I was going to hold off on this announcement until probably the summer, but now my hand has been forced because I got an interesting call about 2 days ago from a young supporter in the Midwest who was deeply concerned over something that looked like it was ours.
Jesus, how does he live with those clocks? Jesus.
Condemning Christian identity, hailing Satan, all this and that, he was deeply concerned. I said, well, this doesn't sound quite right, but believe me, we'll get to the bottom of it, and we've done that. Since we released the 1993 Bob Larson interview, which Larson himself decided to title Neo-Nazi Satanism, just to get himself more cash donations. Within days of that, some outfit calling itself 09A, Order of the Nine Angles, has posted a thing looking like us, calling itself us, and building up Satanism.
So they're talking about the NSO, obviously.
Yeah. Right.
Well, you wonder what the motivation is. I asked the question many years ago, why lie?
Because
why
it's
deceive?
in siege.
It's not us, though they claim it to be. And they're putting it forward as us hailing Satan. Okay, what's the goal? What's the object? Well, we got this, of course.
There's just some guy yelling in the background there.
Well, it's probably the sounds of his
it can only serve to sow confusion and dissension within the ranks. That's all it can do. And I'm here now telling you this so that you'll be aware of it, in case you may have already encountered it, because
the clock's
chances are there will be more of it. Those of you who have looked at my 12-part series on Christian identity, you'll remember the introduction I did. And I went into pretty great detail over all the lengths these very same people right here went to torpedo the production of that 12-part series on Christian identity. They bent way over backward. They lied, they deceived, they sabotaged. They did everything they could do to stop that.
Okay, I think he might be referring to when he slept with the other member's wife, I think.
Oh, right.
I'm guessing he's talking about that drama. Because
someone tried to prevent him to put out a series on Christian identity.
That's what he's saying.
I don't know how would they do that. Maybe it was the person actually doing the recording.
Are dishonest, for one. They're underhanded. I think they're federally funded. And the feds just don't hand out funding for nothing. They want something in return.
God, his face is so crazy.
And if they can't silence
it almost looks
us,
like he's about to snap.
And obviously they haven't been able to do that.
Yes.
Then they want to muddy the waters and confuse people.
Waters.
God, what an old Jewish trick that is.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Anyway,
He's,
so I
classic
was going to
James.
take this apart for you this summer, but I got to do it now. In studying this thing, as I've said, I'm denounced in my own book. That's a new one. And I don't need to say a word in my own defense, so I won't. But I'll defend the dead. Commander Rockwell.
Salute, boys.
Commander Rockwell.
They say in here, all he was good for was acting as a magnet for so-called Hollywood Nazis. Okay? Now,
I mean,
I
they
met
did
my
like
share of these.
cosplay.
And they may have been, in many cases, sincere, but they were unbalanced. Okay? Kooks. And, but if we're talking about unbalanced kooks, this 09A thing seems to me to be a prime example of that. Unbalanced kooks.
Yes.
But Commander Rockwell, just as I outlined, was hard up for any kind of help, competent or otherwise. He had to take whoever offered help. And
So
he
he's
did.
not denying that he
And for a time,
took in
these people might have
unbalanced
some
cooks,
benefit.
Right.
because that he had to
Then in
do
the
it.
long run, they'd show
Yeah.
themselves
I
to
mean,
be
James is standing here with us today
not suited
because he
for
took in
serious
unbalanced
political
kooks.
effort.
Yeah.
So they would go off on their own. They either quit and disappear, or they'd go off on their own and start some garbage nonsense.
Talk about Matt Cale.
Their own, just to boost their own egos. And of course, they're forgotten today. These people will be forgotten too, I promise you.
TENE will remember, James. Don't worry.
But George Lincoln Rockwell, I mean, my God, he's the father of us all over here. The man stood for truth. This is what we stand for. The truth, not garbage. And this is
truth.
representing
Wrestling a
garbage.
man naked
I
in the
tell you,
backyard isn't gay at
Satanism,
all.
It's garbage, and I'm going to go deeper into that in just a moment or two. Commander Rockwell was a hero. He was a martyr. Maybe the greatest son this country ever produced. And
well,
they denounce him.
you're gonna deny that?
Okay. Shameful.
Commander Rockwell.
It's shameful.
Rockwell.
And then they denounced Charles Manson, a mass murderer who never murdered anyone. Well, that's true, but still they're trying to drag his name through the mud. Well, Charles Manson, who I was closely acquainted with, was another man of the truth. And they denounce this man as well. And then, even though they call themselves Satanists, they go on to attack Anton LaVey, the founder and the head of the Church of Satan. Calling him well, I guess he was. He was a racial Jew. And he did found his Church of Satan. But I want to tell you,
He was one of the good ones.
as I think I wrote, and I think it's up right now in connection with the Bob Larson introduction, you see the person who formulated and published that very first edition of Siege was himself a high priest in LaVey's Church of Satan. Now, in order for you to get a thing like that, you had to contribute $100, and you would receive a very fine-looking document to hang on your wall. That's what this individual did. And in conversation,
The ONA are such chumps. They do it for
he's
free.
just an atheist. He's still a carny. He began his career in the carnival, and he's a showman. The man, and it struck me way back then, he'd talk about the lie. He never specified what that lie was, but he specified the lie, inculcated into the mind of the little child around his mother's knee. Said that's the most dangerous thing of all. Well, it is, but we name what that lie is, right? Racial equality, so on and so forth.
Oh.
I wasn't sure,
But
actually.
Anton-
It's just that we should know.
Basically represented good citizenship. Sounds crazy, I know, but he took a look at the Judeo-Christian church out there, and he thought that was garbage, which it is.
Because
He said,
Christians are the real
if this
Jews.
represents God,
Yes.
That's his
all this
position.
weakness and self-destruction and self-denial, then we need to take a look at Satan if we want to go with strength and masculinity and vitality. And this was the foundation of his whole thing. Okay, well, he calls it Satanism, but
This
not
is
what these people represent.
the way he's sitting and where the camera is.
Anyway,
It's just granddad telling you a story
Yeah,
about
it's amazing.
Anton LaVey.
Or that poor animal, that goat that was
Yes.
murdered by some of these bastards some years ago. I was told of it. And it sickened me then, and it sickens me now. For you see, Rockwell, Manson, and LaVey were all great animal lovers, as am I.
He's talking about the goat that was sacrificed by the base.
Yes.
In the name of some bullshit cult ritual is about as sick as you can get.
Oh, he's getting so angry. I love his
Okay,
face. Look at his-
that
Because it's a goat.
is this kind of Satanism.
He's holding up his
Bullshit.
own book as he says
It's
that.
poison,
Yes.
it's a lie, and these son of a bitches are working for the feds. I'm telling you. What they're
Granddad,
trying to
calm
do, they couldn't silence us one way, and they couldn't silence us in another way. Now
Silence us.
they're
they
moving
published
in,
us.
trying to sow confusion.
I mean, he's holding a book that says Siege
Look it up
James
online,
Mason.
you'll find it.
Yes.
I'm just warning you now. We were just discussing this before we started to record. I call it a grandstand play. They're becoming desperate.
See?
They
He's
really
getting
wanna
worked up
stop.
now. This is the
He is.
Mason that we know and love.
They failed
getting
until
pink.
now. They're going to fail now. They're going to fail in the future. And they will disappear from the scene eventually. But for now, we're doing this to tell you to be on your guard and don't be worried, don't be concerned. When you
Just
see
don't
it,
do anything.
you can laugh at it. All right? Now I'll talk about Satanism.
Do
These
tell.
people are insane. They have to be. Because what is Satan?
Oh, man. No reflection
After all,
whatsoever.
It's an allegory for the Jews. Period.
Is he in
That's
like
it.
a house under an underpass?
There's no red
I don't
devil
know.
running around with horns and a tail, holding a spear.
He's being deplatformed.
It's
by, like, a
merely an
parking
allegory
garage.
for the Jews. This
Yes.
is what anybody who knows how to read and who cares to read will glean from reading the Bible. Okay? That's out of the Bible. I didn't whip that up.
Oh,
It's
I
out
love
of
it
the
when he
Bible,
says whip that
plain
up.
and simple. So, if you're serious, really serious about worshiping Satan and working for Satan, you don't get all weirded out, you don't murder animals, and you don't try to screw up other people's reach to the public. What you really want to do is get a nice shave, haircut, and a three-piece suit and go and join the Democratic Party. If you really want to work for Satan.
Insight roll.
Because as Anton LaVey says, Satan rules the earth.
And who's the Democratic
That's out
Party
of
run
Revelation.
by?
This is Satan's little season. He is in control. All right?
Yes.
So you need to be part of the system. You don't need to be some kind of a weirdo.
Which is what I've always said. Join the
join the
system.
government unless you're so much of a character cripple that you can't do it. You can't even fall in line with these Democrats because you can't carry on a serious political effort. You're that screwed up. So now you got to play games. You got to call yourself the Order of Nine Angles. You got to murder innocent animals for your weird ass rights, and such as that. Well, that's bad enough. But when they start with stuff like this, and they start masquerading as us on the internet, hailing Satan and so forth, we enter another area. They're up to something. What's their goal? Except confusion, dissension?
Granddad.
Are they under orders? Who's the crack brain that came up with this?
I think it's your book, man. I think your name's on the cover.
I'm also told, of course, this National Socialist Order of Nine Angles was a takeover of another stupid idea calling itself the National Socialist Order.
Well,
which formed itself right after we had to announce the dissolution of the Atomwaffen division because it was threatening to bring down too much federal heat. We didn't want to be scooped up RICO style by a thing like that. Well, what do these idiots do immediately? They come up with an instant replacement for it.
Harsh.
Because, as I say, the feds and the rats and the character cripples, they want these damn things. They need them. And what else? They don't fear acts of so-called terrorism. They love these things. They welcome these things because it doesn't hurt them. The insurance policies pay any damage. Makes us look bad. Some of our people get sent to prison for life. What have you. What they want to do is silence our message.
So this is James Mason saying.
Tells the truth.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you want to talk
Yes, while holding his own book in his hand.
Yeah.
Which is only about terrorism.
Yes.
Yes.
Tell the truth.
That's all it's about.
Shut you down one way or another. So all these creeps and all these clowns who had at first conspired together to silence my 12-part series on Christian identity,
By making me sleep with his
then they
wife.
fell out among themselves. And that one stupid fool that started that NSO thing got thrown out of his own crackpot effort, and then it was rechristened the National Socialist Order of Nine
I
Angles.
love seeing him just like
That's
freak
what
out.
we have
Yes.
here now. So, it's pretty dark. It's pretty slimy. One day, we'll know exactly what's behind it. But one thing for certain today is whatever's behind it is no damn good. Just so you'll be forewarned.
Oh, thanks, James.
Then my God, it's great. No reflection.
I mean, this is funny because this is clearly, he's addressing this audience and pretending like he doesn't already know what the O9A is. This thing called the Order of Nine Angles.
Whatever.
It's like you've known about this forever. Come on, what do you?
I mean, he
talking
said
about?
in one recent interview, which other guy appears who's like his technical kind of assistant in it, who's maybe one of the actual what's the name? The National Socialist Order of Nine Angles guys. Now I'm confused who is who. But
of course.
And there was a question about the Order of Nine Angles there, and James Mason said something positive about them, how they're pretty extreme, pretty right wing.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. Everybody wants to pretend they don't know you anymore, David, but we
and
won't pretend that ever.
Yeah.
And here he is, just being like this thing that I guess calls itself it's like he's hearing about it for the first time.
My God.
And he says there's some confusion, because people said that I was a Satanist, and then he talks about Anton LaVey and so on and so on. And then, as a kind of a way to explain that, he says there was a guy who he's actually responsible for making the first edition of Siege. And that person, who at that time was known as Michael Jenkins, which was the...
Yeah, he did. He did talk about Jenkins in this.
So he mentions Michael Jenkins, which is in fact Michael Moynihan, as the person who was the person who made the first edition of Siege. And, and he identifies him, because Michael Moynihan was a member of the Church of Satan, which is interesting that, I don't know why he mentions him, kind of reminds everyone that actually that person is responsible for the existence of Siege.
Well, he explained it by saying that, implying, I think, that LaVey was talking about Jewish people when he was talking about the question, what's behind it, the big lie and all that. Yeah. I think he was trying to balance those sheets.
He's trying to explain his own personal connection with Satanism and to make a point how this is not this kind of Satanism, it was this LaVeyan thing and so on. But he's not doing any favors to Michael Moynihan by saying that he's responsible for Siege,
Right.
There's also a text on the website where he says how, Michael Moynihan, or Michael Jenkins, as he calls him, did a great thing for making this book and so on. But really, this is I don't think Michael Moynihan wants him to say that.
Yeah. Well, there it was.
Yeah.
I love that Siege is now about not doing any sieging.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
purely. I don't know about what being a a good citizen. I guess
I think it's about citizenship. Yeah.
he did say that, right?
Well, he said that LeVay was a good citizen, and I think he said this in a positive way. But that
Right.
comment at the end, that sort of sounded like he was suggesting an insight role, or maybe not. If you were really into Satanism, join the Democratic Party because the Democrats rule the world. Because I guess we're supposed to assume that all the Democrats are secretly run by the Jewish cabal.
No, he
Yada,
wants to
yada,
say how
yada.
this world it's the realm of Satan. So
Satan,
the people
because-
who are in charge, they are the real Satanists. Because this is Satan's world, kind of.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
so, if you want to be opposition to the world, you cannot be a Satanist because the system is satanic. I guess is the point.
But yes, but also Satan is the Jews. I think he even said it outright in this.
well, and he also believes that the Jews are running the world. So it makes
Yeah,
sense.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It all comes together.
So I love the clocks. It's just it's amazing. There's several different clocks just ticking incessantly. Imagine. No wonder he's like, because the thing is when you see James Mason, when you see him talk, his face is always contorting in these weird ways. Like he's like he's about to snap. Like he's just about to like filled with rage.
Yeah.
And and I guess having like fucking several like cuckoo clocks just ticking away in this small room that seems to be under a highway overpass is probably doesn't help his mental state.
Perfect. It's exactly as you picture him. Also, the person who helped us put this whole episode together here pointed this out as well, that when the NSO-TENE split off and the National Socialist Resistance Front was formed, they had this article about Mason and all the trouble he's caused. And in that, they were saying, we don't know if it's him or his like late onset dementia or something like that. His family has a history of dementia, but I mean, you can see that he's working. His little brain's still chugging away up there. Mm-hmm. He looks a lot better than, for instance, the president. Yeah,
they're around the same age, huh?
He's not demented, guys. He's just is that dude. He's just the guy that he always said he was. He's a giant asshole.
Yeah, he was so offended on Rockwell's behalf that it was almost cute.
Oh God, yes, it was. Yes, I will stand up for the dead.
Yeah, Commander Rockwell, one of the greatest sons this country's ever produced,
killed by a Nazi.
Oh, as well. Yeah,
martyr.
So the greatest son that the nation has produced was killed by a Nazi.
But then the second greatest son, Tomasi. Oh, wait. Yeah, him too. Him too. But then we formed Atomwaffen division and... Oh, fuck. Yeah. Yeah, that happened again, didn't it?
It's almost like there's a trend.
Right. Yes.
One that's brought by perhaps the Jewish problem.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure that's it.
There's a trick that they whipped up.
Yeah, that's our boy. He's back. He's hardy and hale, and talking shit about the 09A. And that hoped for war that I've always imagined, the Mason Myatt duel.
Yes.
I mean, they're both getting up there, you know?
Yes.
And I think Mason would throw down on that if it was in like Australia or something. Maybe.
So maybe what we could do is we could try to get our listeners to sponsor this event.
Yes.
Where we'll do like a cage fight between Mason and Myatt.
You know what?
And it'll have to be in a neutral location, so I don't know.
Well, put it in the
Ukraine
Kiev place.
Can't do it now.
Put it in the. Oh, right. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I mean, all those guys are probably are a little busy in Bakhmut or whatever right now. So we'll have to pick another good location for that to happen.
At the FBI arena.
Yeah. FBI Arena proudly presents. Which one did we do that for? That was
the Monster Truck Rally. That was the Grand Slam Monster Jam.
Satanic Monster Jam.
Yeah, where they called, I think, Molt.
Yes.
Dickie Moltisanti.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we should get our listeners to sponsor this, then reach out to them individually and ask them if they'd be willing to fight to the death for the honor of National Socialism.
Yes, much support.
I feel like Mason would win, honestly. But
Well,
yeah.
Oh, totally.
Because now
Well-
I think is dueling still legal in Switzerland?
Well, there we go.
Oh.
Ooh,
I
let's look
heard-
that up.
Because both David Myatt and James Mason are now strictly into legal stuff. So I think
Right.
we need to find a place where it's legal for them to fight to the death.
I bet it's
Yeah,
legal
when
in
he
parts
wins,
of-
he can buy another cuckoo clock.
Ah,
Yes.
yes. Yeah.
The white man's greatest invention.
I bet it's legal in Arizona.
Oh, it's certainly legal in like most U.S. states.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just get David
But
over.
no, but we can't get Myatt won't come. I'm sure he won't come to the U.S. Is Satanic Front might abduct him and torture him and make him listen to whatever Toby Keith. Well,
Yes. Yes. Oh, I love it. Yeah. So that's, I guess that's the state of the movement. What were they called? The shit pit. The shit pit
Yes.
movement of
yeah,
of Nazis. So you got the Satanic Front, which we didn't talk about today, but they're already against the O9A, who's against them in return. You have the National Socialist Order of Nine Angles against the Satanic Front, and now James Mason against them and the O9A through them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got the Resistance Front guys who are against James Mason because James Mason was mean to them.
Mm-hmm.
And then also the Satanists, because they keep discovering that among their like 6 friends, always half of them are Satanists or pedophiles, And we maybe have, no, I think that's about it, right? That's everybody hating everybody. And then I think maybe we could do another episode about more specifically what's going on in the O9A, like what happened over there. It seems like they've even had more internal fallings outs.
Yeah,
even
true.
While this was all going on, so there's just a lot of falling apart these days.
And also
A lot of
maybe
breakups.
in the Interarch we can also return to the Reconquista Club in Kiev.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
talk about
yes.
the connections that crew has to the Intermarium, for example, idea. The Fritz talked about.
Well, they
Oh,
have connections
man.
to like everybody. I mean, that seemed to have been kind of the place to be for a few years there.
Yeah, but I do really want to get into the Intermarium shit, figure out what the fuck is going on.
Yes. Because it seems that they are the most active promoters of that idea today.
That's fucking crazy. That blows my mind. It's really insane.
Yeah.
Well, god damn it. So much. This is going to be so much fun. And so healthy for us.
In fact,
to
I
engage
think you
in.
have
Hey.
like conferences on Intermarium held in the same room where David Myatt was sitting there on
Beautiful.
that couch.
Beautiful. That's
And
that's
Rob
amazing.
Ronda was fighting in a ring.
We're talking about references made to our whatever little deep state mini thing we did about Bloodstone.
What
and all that.
episode
And,
was Intermarium?
That would probably be the Vatican Ratlines episode.
Mhm.
I think that
Okay.
was because Draganovich was
Yeah.
Yes.
part of this like Intermarium, I don't know, inside group or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. Oh my God! Why did you bring that up just now? That's,
Yes.
no. I want to do some light shit. I want to talk about Chloe again. I want to do that.
Okay.
Something silly. But
We'll
you know
do
what?
it all.
On the Patreon, we got not only a Fash fic, which we haven't done in forever, but we're covering Serpent's Walk by M.A.R. Barker,
Oh,
a guy, a creator of the fantasy world of Tecumel in the Empire of the Petal Throne, who recently outed as a Nazi, such a Nazi, including this Fash fic he published through William Luther Pierce's fucking press. In fact, this book was thought to be William Luther Pierce's for a while. But in fact, it's not. It's this fucking academic dude who's just a piece of shit. And we're going to have some guests on to look at it with us.
Great.
it's very exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be real fun. All right.
Awesome.
So, see you there.
See ya.
Yep.
Heil
Bye.
Belial.
Blau.
Heil Belial.
Later.
Bye.
there, Fritz here from The Empire Never Ended. This has been one of our weekly free episodes for free people. But for premium people, we also have weekly premium episodes, which you can get at patreon.com/tenepod, TENEPOD, and also follow our various social media things in the show description there. Like and subscribe them. Follow them. Like and follow and subscribe. Follow them. Do it.